Tonight on CTV News at 11:30. As the trade war with U.S. escalates, some say they're worried about what's next.
You know, it's been kind of difficult for the last year, you know, with all the back and forth.
Artists say they'll be looking to the federal government for support. Plus, an announcement on finishing Highway 69 of a different kind.
This will get done because it's a national priority.
The province says before it can move ahead with four-laning, a rail line must be moved. And the Social Services Board says it's expanding homeless services in North Bay.
The numbers at Northern Pines are actually twice the capacity.
Trailers are being set up at a complex to create 24 new units.
CTV News at 11:30 with Ian Campbell and Tony Rima with weather.
Good evening. Thanks for staying up with us. We begin tonight once again with a look at the trade war now underway between Canada and the U.S. Today, Canada announced retaliatory tariffs on more than 700 American products worth an estimated $27 billion. In the meantime, the American tariffs are hitting the visual arts sector hard. One Sudbury artist is hoping the supports announced today will offer some relief as exporting to the U.S. has become now expensive. CTV's Elena Everson starts us off tonight.
Mark Gagne says the trade war over the last year has effectively ruined his online art business.
My immediate reaction frustration and anger. You know, it's been kind of difficult for the last year, you know, with all the back and forth.
Gagne, a graduate of the Cambridge College Fine Arts program, calls his style of art cute and creepy.
I do like sort of little fantasy creatures, and I do original illustrations of those, and I insert them in like old sort of thrift store paintings to give them new life and keep them out of landfill.
Among the Canadian art being tariffed, paintings, drawings, collages, sculptures, original prints, and bone and antler works.
Generally, my sales are about 80 to 90% of my total sales are to the U.S., which is definitely going to hurt me with the tariffs. Myself and a lot of other artists and creatives are kind of at a loss at what to do, and we're worried and stressed for our livelihoods.
Gagne would like to see the Canadian government support and invest in the arts more, saying the basis for any great society is the arts and how it's supported. He's also encouraging Canadians to support local artists. Elena Everson, CTV News, Sudbury.
The Federation of Northern Ontario Municipalities, or FNOM, which represents 110 municipalities across our region, weighing in today, urging this is not the time for partisan politics. In a statement to the media, it writes in part, "Our position is clear. We stand with the Government of Canada, support our workers and industries, buy Canadian, and remain united as Canadians." President Donald Trump says he's giving serious consideration to changing the name of Lake Ontario to Lake America. On social media, Trump posted, "The United States is giving serious consideration to changing the name of Lake Ontario to Lake America, in that we don't expect to be doing much business with Ontario any longer." People living near the Great Lake had this to say about Trump's name change idea.
First of all, it's international water, so he has no right to rename a body of water that is not American. So I think he needs to learn a little bit of geopolitics and understand the way the world works.
He's delusional. We all know that.
Once again, he hasn't given this any thought whatsoever, and that's the way he speaks. And I don't think it's going to go anywhere.
Yeah, obviously he can't do it. And we like Lake Ontario because we're in Ontario.
I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Since it's been that probably for 200 years, I'm going to guess. But no, I don't know. I'm trying to remain calm, not get too heated about it, but it is frustrating for sure, yeah.
A day after trading insults across the border with the U.S. president, the premier was back at Queen's Park today. Doug Ford was speaking to Americans on network television in a series of interviews, making the case for Canada amid the escalating trade war.
A day after an invitation from the premier to the U.S. president.
I have a lot of real estate on my ass, so he has a lot of room to kiss my ass.
And a news conference littered with insults.
I don't respond to a dictator like President Trump, the king of bankruptcies. This guy's a loser. I have more courage, more brains in my baby toe than he has in his whole body. Not at all.
Today, Premier Doug Ford quieter in the halls of Queen's Park, making the case against tariffs on American TV.
We're the number one customer to 17 states, number 2 to 12 others. I'd rather make a great deal and support the American people, support the Canadians.
The shift in tone after Donald Trump targeted the province, musing online about renaming Lake Ontario to Lake of America and about pulling back on doing business with Ontario.
Why have you all of a sudden sort of chilled out here?
Well, you know something, he can throw them as much as I can. It's just not worth fighting back and forth and all the rhetoric.
On this, opposition parties agree with the Premier.
This is not WWE SmackDown. That's not going to feed families. That's not going to protect jobs.
The NDP leader says the goal shouldn't be to land the best insult.
This is about actually doing what we can do here in the province of Ontario.
Like making sure governments are really prioritizing Ontario products and services and reviewing existing contracts.
WSIB jobs going to Iron Mountain in the United States. ODSP jobs being privatized with an American firm.
The Premier has rejected calls from the opposition to bring the legislature back early. The return set for late October.
Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
In other news, the provincial government announced a major project along Highway 69 south of Sudbury, and although it wasn't for the four-laning of the final stretch, it is a big step toward that work. CTV's Angela Campbell explains.
The Ontario government calls the widening of Highway 69 a priority project. But before it can get to four-laning the final 68 kilometers, the province has announced it's working with CN Rail to relocate a section of train tracks north of Key River.
It will clear the way for construction of a new interchange and Highway 522 and the next phase of widening along the corridor. And this work is a part of a much broader push to accelerate progress on Highway 69.
With the busy Highway 69 as the backdrop for the news conference, the Minister of Transportation calls this realignment the next step before four-laning work can begin.
We recognize the concerns from the residents here along the stretch of Highway 69, but I think for us the most important thing is how do we get a shovel in the ground as quickly as possible, which will then help dictate the timelines on that.
According to the minister, the four-laning of the final 68 kilometers of Highway 69 will be broken up into 6 smaller projects. 4 of those will begin over the next year. But the minister stopped short of saying when that work might begin and, more importantly, when it would be finished.
God bless you, press, for asking when it's going to be done. The important thing is we're getting started. We put a timeline around that. We put a timeline around the project here with the rail line. And I think people in this area and anyone that travels this highway corridor is going to be and should be excited about this news today.
Given the recent escalation in the trade war, the Minister of Northern Economic Development says it's essential Ontario move forward with this road project.
Yes, this will get done because it's a national priority. It means that we will retain our sovereignty, and the United States under Trump is not going to take that away from us.
Angela Campbell, CTV News, north of Key River.
An internal review is now underway after fire crews were sent to the wrong address while responding to a fire in Sault Ste. Marie. The fire was on Prentice Avenue, August 13th. The call came in at 5:24 p.m. according to the Sault's fire chief, but crews were initially sent to the wrong address and did not arrive on scene until 5:35. Once on scene, fire crews encountered problems with fire hydrants that were not available. In the meantime, flames had spread to a home, causing significant damage. A 63-year-old Sault Ste. Marie man is facing charges of assault after an incident Friday morning involving a hatchet. It happened on Wellington Street East. Through the investigation, police say they learned the victim had been struck with a hatchet, which was also used to damage property. The victim and accused were known to each other. The accused was located and arrested nearby. He's being held in custody ahead of a bail hearing. Post-secondary students in Ontario are preparing to take on more debt as the new school year approaches. Earlier this year, the Ford government announced it would cut student assistance grants from 85% to a maximum of 25%. The rest will have to be paid back. It comes at the same time the government ended a 7-year freeze on tuition. Some student groups say people are choosing not to further their education because of the cost. The province says the change was necessary to protect the OSAP program going forward. The township of Fauquier-Strickland has extended its deadline to register as a candidate for the upcoming municipal election after no one registered by Friday. Residents will have until 2 p.m. tomorrow to put their name in for municipal council. The township made headlines last year when it started to shut down operations. The province did provide emergency support while council raised property taxes by 20%. The township has 5 council seats to fill, including the mayor's. According to the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing, this is how things will work for the community. If at least 3 candidates are acclaimed or elected, then the remaining seats can be appointed to people who have agreed to take on the role. A minimum of 3 people, then by-elections, will run until the vacant seats can be filled. In this event, the ministry says the outgoing council would stay on until a new council has a quorum. Ontario's ombudsman has ruled Timmins Council held an illegal meeting in June of last year. The meeting in question was centered around an email chain discussion on the revitalization of the Leo del Villano Park after the plan had been approved June 17, 2025. All but one councillor was involved in the original email chain along with the city's CAO. The emails requested a special meeting to further discuss the plan, and several councillors provided their opinions. In her ruling, the ombudsman said this counted as a meeting as a quorum was reached and city business was discussed. The Social Services Board in the North Bay area says it is expanding some homelessness services. It involves transitional housing known as Northern Pines. CTV's Eric Tashner reports.
Northern Pines is expanding what's known as Phase 3 of its transitional housing complex next week.
How do you take people off the street, put them through a program, and then get them to the point where they're able to live independently without relying on all these services.
2 trailers are set up at the transitional housing complex, creating 24 additional staff-supported units. At the same time, accessible low-barrier shelter services will continue to operate on a 24/7 basis at the site. Shelter and transitional housing services are delivered by the Crisis Center.
The numbers at Northern Pines are actually twice the capacity. So there are a lot of people turned away at night, which is an unfortunate situation.
Transitional housing, DSAB says, gives individuals with private spaces the help they need to work toward their long-term housing goals. Besides beds, Northern Pines offers a separate daytime programming area and helps individuals connect with housing support services throughout the day. Phase 3 provides independent living on site, where individuals apply the life skills they've learned every day. But once they're ready to move on...
The issue that we've had, and this is what we've tried to explain to the provincial government, there's no affordable housing.
Northern Pines is also a hub for coordinated health and social services in one location and includes income support and community paramedicine program services. At the same time, DSAB is continuing to push for sustainable, long-term funding from both the provincial and federal governments, as demand for homelessness services remains significant across the district. Eric Tashner, CTV News, North Bay.
Time now for a short break here on CTV News. Coming up, Amanda will have our full weather forecast. For now, we'll look at the current conditions, and it's looking pretty average for this time of year. Seeing some cloud coverage from one end of the region to the other. Kapuskasing and North Bay are hot spots right now at this time of night. 13 in Timmins, 14 in Chapleau, 13 in Elliott Lake, 16 on the island. We'll have details coming up after the break.
Welcome back from the break. I hope everyone had a great day and enjoyed the sunshine out there. It will be short-lived as we get closer to the weekend, though. Let's take a look at the forecast radar. And there is some precipitation into Wednesday, continuing on into Thursday. By the time Thursday wraps up, though, that's when we start to see a shift. However, temperatures will be cooler as we continue into Thursday, but we see a bit of sunshine. Let's look at the 7-day forecast, starting with Sudbury, Nickel Belt. Chance of showers, risk of thunderstorms for tomorrow, high of 24, 18 on Thursday, with the chance of showers continuing into Friday. By the time Saturday rolls around, only a slight chance of showers, mostly mix of sun and cloud, getting up to a high of 22 degrees, and then cloudy skies on Sunday. For Sault Ste. Marie, Algoma, chance of showers, risk of thunderstorms for tomorrow, high of 21, 20 on Thursday with a chance of showers. Sunshine, looks like a beautiful day on Friday, getting up to a high of 20, just shy of the normal for this time of year, and then cloudy skies on Saturday. For Timmins, Cochrane, Kapuskasing, chance of showers, risk of thunderstorms for tomorrow, high of 23. 14 on Thursday. Temperatures falling quite a bit, well below seasonal, with a chance of showers continuing into Friday as well, but temperatures bump up to 18, so a little bit closer to the normal for this time of year. For Timiskaming Shores, Kirkland Lake, chance of showers, risk of thunderstorms for tomorrow, high of 24. 18 on Thursday, continuing into Friday with a chance of showers, hopefully a little bit more sunshine than showers on Friday. Sunny skies on Saturday. Looks like a beautiful, comfortable day out there in Timiskaming Shores and Kirkland Lake, and then cloudy skies on Sunday. And finally, for North Bay, West Nipissing, chance of showers for tomorrow, high of 25. 18 on Thursday with the chance of showers as well on Friday, high of 18. Sunny skies on Saturday, beautiful day there, getting up to the normal for this time of year, which is 22, and cloudy skies on Sunday, temperatures falling a little bit to 19 degrees, and a chance of showers on Monday to start the week with a high of 20 degrees. So Ian, over the next couple days, you might want to keep the windows rolled up just in case we get some shower activity, but we will see the sunshine return. Sending it back to you.
Thanks, Amanda. Well, food banks around the north are struggling to keep up with increased use at food banks this summer. CTV's Madison Merrier has more tonight.
Sudbury's food bank says April to October are when donations slow down and shelves become emptier.
It's about 1,800 people in total between January and the end of July that are new users to our food bank. And in the first quarter, it was only 579. Now, that's not individual users, that's also including children. And we have the demographics that show that there are more people that are accessing our food banks than ever before.
Sault Ste. Marie Salvation Army Food Bank confirms it's an issue across the north.
It's actually scary sometimes when you walk into the back room to see what's there. And the shelf, and there's so many empty shelves. And yeah, we have canned tomatoes, probably a 2-year supply of canned tomatoes, but you can't feed people with tomatoes. But yeah, there's it's an ongoing issue. This is the worst year I think I've ever seen.
Labby says what used to last them 4 months is now only lasting them 2.5 months. And the organization is spending around $120,000 to $150,000 a month on grocery orders to fill the demand as much as possible.
Everything is so expensive now that people can't afford to donate as much as they used to. And we noticed immediately after the layoffs were announced here at the steel plant that donations dropped dramatically. And they have not bounced back.
Only 40% of the people using food banks are on Ontario Works or ODSP. The 60% are actually working poor.
Both food banks are relying on grocery partnerships. However, Labby says the introduction of grocery discount apps are reducing the amount of food coming into the Sudbury Food Bank by over 67,000 pounds. And she says it's making it harder to fill up the empty shelves at this time of year. Madison Merrier, CTV News, Sudbury.
As families prepare to send students back to school, organizations across the north are preparing backpacks to help those in need. Sault Ste. Marie Salvation Army says it has prepared 275 backpacks filled with back-to-school essentials. Meanwhile, Our Children, Our Future, Sudbury and Manitoulin gave 100 children the opportunity to choose their own backpacks and running shoes to help parents with the rising costs of necessities, saying in part, "This year, with food insecurity top of mind, we wanted to do a little more. We were fortunate to include a $20 food card for each child." By the way, all northern school boards will be back in session by September 8th. Still ahead tonight on CTV News. Fans of Canadian band Glass Tiger are getting ready to rock the Grace Hartman Amphitheatre in Sudbury. More on that in a moment. Peaches are plentiful in grocery stores now, but that might not be the case next year. Heavy rain devastated orchards in the Niagara region earlier this month. More than 30 centimeters of rain hit the Niagara region between the end of July and early August, flooding farms, orchards, and vineyards. Analysts say it's a devastating blow considering how many peaches are sold in Canada and grown in the area. Because peaches are grown on trees which are shallow rooted, the pooling water essentially suffocated them.
When that root is completely cut off from oxygen due to flooding, that will start the effect pretty quickly.
Other tender fruits could be in jeopardy too, like plums and cherries. Growers are said to be focused on just making it through what's left of the season, but it could make things expensive in 2027. One of the most talked about Toronto Blue Jay players this season is showing fans another side. Pitcher Dylan Cease is also a painter, and he's teamed up with the Art Gallery of Ontario to show a limited edition collection of his artwork. Here's CTV's Sean Leathong.
The 1-2 from Cease. He got it.
He's second in the major leagues in strikeouts, and now Dylan Cease leads all of baseball in another category. Works of art hanging in a major gallery with his original painting titled Eve of Toronto at the Art Gallery of Ontario.
It's pretty mind-blowing, to come up and see the line and just see, the press, and it just feels very big.
This morning, fans were lined up around the block and through the front doors for a chance to meet the Blue Jays All-Star and see his work up close.
Dylan Cease, I was shocked. He's an incredible artist.
I've been a member for years, and when I heard that they were collaborating with Dylan Cease, I'm like, I have to get the shirt.
There are T-shirts, prints, and tote bags for sale, all the proceeds going to the AGO charitable mission, a collaboration that came about after staff spotted Cease inside the gallery on his off day.
Our social media manager guided him into our Renaissance gallery, which is full of guys with moustaches. So we got this perfect photo of Dylan between two 15th century masterpieces all showing off their moustaches. And Dylan was more than happy to talk to us about his artwork. The story continued, the conversations continued, and here we are.
Cease began painting his own originals back in 2022 as he uses art as a way of separating himself from baseball.
I think it helps me balance my life and balance myself in a lot of ways, and ultimately I just really enjoy doing it.
Cease crafted Eve of Toronto during spring training this past February. He says the acrylic on canvas represents the anticipation of coming to his new team after signing with Toronto as a free agent.
I like seeing opinions on it. Like, you don't have to like it. I like people. Some people love it, some people hate it. It's interesting just seeing the mixed receptions.
On this day, the reception was overwhelmingly positive, with Cease taking the time to talk with some young summer campers and meet with fans who connect with his multifaceted personality.
A lot of times there's people think that you can't do sports and something like art or music or something like that. So it's also big to the fans that are not only baseball fans but culture fans and people that love the art gallery.
It feels good to give back, and it feels good to be a part of the community, and I hope this is just one little step towards being part of the culture, really.
And while most people who see Cease's work up close end up walking back to the dugout, here they get to connect with a sports hero in a unique way. Sean Leathong, CTV News.
It's a sign that summer is winding down in Sudbury. The Memorial Park Social Series is wrapping up its final week of community activities for this season in the downtown green space. Tomorrow will be the final day for drop-in games and music from 12 until 2 p.m. Thursday will be the final session for yoga in the park, running from 12 until 12:45. In Sault Ste. Marie, Latin Fest by La Casa is coming up on August 29th. Organizers say whether you're coming for the food, the music, the dancing, or simply to experience the vibrant flavors of Latin culture, Latin Fest is the place to be. All of the fun takes place at the Roberta Bonder Pavilion between noon and 8 p.m. Finally tonight, rock pop music fans will be at Bell Park's Grace Hartman Amphitheatre tomorrow night in Sudbury when Canada's Glass Tiger hits the stage. Love that song. Well, the Newmarket-based group has been inducted into Canada's Music Hall of Fame and the Walk of Fame in Toronto. Original keyboardist Sam Reed says the guys are just grateful for the opportunity to play the hits after decades together.
After 40 plus years, to be still, with our band of brothers on the road, still singing songs and getting the fans to sing along, and we're booking shows well into 2028, so it doesn't look like there's any reason to not do that. Well, if we all stay healthy and we're still having a great time, then we're delighted to be able to still be out here and perform the way we do.
Glass Tiger headlines several local singers and groups tomorrow night beginning at 6, and a couple of our colleagues here at CTV will be sharing the stage. Watch for the band Tea and Tequila featuring our very own Mike Corelli and Rick Tompkins. Should be a great night. I know several people that are heading down. That takes us to the end of our newscast this Tuesday night. For the latest news anytime, remember you can head to our website, ctvnewsnorthernontario.ca. You can also download our CTV News app. Thanks for watching. Good night.